Alrighty there, hosses. Welcome back, and in this video I'm going to show you how to use entries. Now, an entry is just an input area. If you guys are familiar with HTML, basically a little section that the user can type something in and then you can get the value of it. So if you're ever making a form or they have to sign up for something, then this is going to be perfect. And in this little example, I'm just going to make a quick little login form. So let's say we're making some kind of messenger app and the user has to log in with their username and password. So I'll write messenger 2.0. And not only am I going to show you how to actually make the elements, but I'll show you guys how to get the value from it. And I'm just going to print it out on the screen. But you would usually want to do something like make sure their username exists in the database and log them in, whatever you want to do. So I'm just going to hit self, set the border width equal to 10. And if you don't do this, then all the form little input areas are going to be bunched together against the sides. It's going to look kind of goofy. So after this, self set size request, the default size of the window is just going to be like 200 by 100. We don't need it too big. It's just going to be a little area for the username and password. So, not that much to this program. So what I'm going to do is if I just start throwing everything in here by default, it's going to appear to the side. However, with most forms, all of the form elements appear on top of each other. So that's what I want to take care of right now. I want to change the layout to a VBox. Set this equal to GTK box. Orientation equals GTK. Orientation vertical. And I'll just set spacing equal to, let's do 8. Alright, so as we stack them vertically, there's going to be 8 pixels between each one. If it looks a little too big, then we can tighten it up a little bit, but I don't know. I think it'll look alright. So self, add this layout. We're adding it to the main window right there. So, give myself a tidbit more room, and I'll just do the username area first. So for the username, I'm just going to make a variable called username, self username, and I'm going to set this equal to GTK in entry class. So in entry, remember, this is pretty much the input area. That's what they call it. Now you can go ahead and add default text to it, and what you probably should do if you're making these is you should probably add a label on the left hand side and then the input area on the right. I mean, that's kind of how every form looks on the internet, or whenever you're signing up for like a username for Skype or something. But for this, I'm just gonna add a little indicator inside it just to save some time. So for username, I'm just gonna set text and username. Now, if they already logged in before, then what you can do is you can actually fill in their username for them. So whenever you go to like a website and it's like save my username, then if they click that, then you can pop it in there for them. But for now, I'm just doing this because I'm lazy. All right. So we made the input area, and now we just need to add it to the layout. So add self username true 0. Alright, looking good, mate. And now, actually, I can go ahead and do this if I want. Alright, so this is what I'm talking about. Of course, this layout is not complete yet, but you guys can understand what I'm talking about. And so, you see when I said that I'm just going to throw everything in here by default, usually what you would want to do is you want to take this, make it a label, and put it on the left-hand side, and then they can, just fill in their name right there. But I'm just going to stick it all in there because I'm lazy. And another thing I want to show you guys how to do is how to make one with a password. Now with the password fields, they're going to be a little bit different because remember, whenever you have a password field, you have all of those hidden areas. Now I actually just typed the asterisk on my keyboard right now, but usually you would want to do it for them. So I'll show you guys how to kind of have hidden text. So self password equal to GTK entry, and whatever, I'll just do it. So self password set text, and I'll just set this equal to password. So usually you'd want to just make this blank, but I just want to demonstrate that it is indeed, you know, hidden from other users that may be looking on. So anytime you want to make password text, it's actually the visibility property. So self password set visibility. Now if it's visible, then it just looks like plain text. But if you set this to false, then it's going to be covered up like those little asterisks. So like that. So it doesn't mean like invisible, it just means like kind of secure. I guess that would probably be a better word for it. So now we just need to add this to the layout still. And boom, roasted, we are good to go. Now the last thing you probably want to do is just make some kind of sign in button or login button or submit form, whatever. But I'm just going to name myself button and just set this equal to button. And I'm not going to, you know, explain this because I already did in like the second tutorial. And whatever text you want to appear on your button, submit, sign in, whatever. So self button connect, and in here we want to connect the clicked signal to whatever function we decide to make. So I'll just make a real quick function that prints out the values of whatever the user typed in, and we'll just name that sign in. So we'll do that in just a second, but for now we need to add this to the layout. And before we test this layout, let's go ahead and make this sign in function, or else it's not going to know what we're trying to connect it to. So define sign in, and remember we pass in self, which is pretty much the instance of the class in widget. Now check this out. Anytime you want to get the value of a field they typed in, so if they typed in Bucky for a username, anytime you want to get the value of that, then you just write self in the name of the field, which is in this case username. And then remember, from like the second tutorial, there are getters and setters. Now by default we set the text to username, but they probably changed that to their actual username. So get text, and remember this doesn't take any parameters because you don't know what it is yet. It's just whatever they typed in. So it could be Bucky, could be the New Boston, could be Tuna Head 87, whatever. So I'm just going to print out whatever they typed in, and I'm also going to print out their password. So again, you'd usually want to do something like check it in the database, but I'm just going to print it out for simplicity. And check this out. So we gave a default username and password just because we were lazy, but usually the user would type in something like Bucky, and their password can be some super secret password. And now whenever they hit sign in, hopefully it should print out right there. So there's my username and there is my password. So again, one last time, the reason that this worked is because we created two fields and we populated them with default text, even though we, you know, usually don't want to do that. And after that, we made a button and we connected the clicked functionality to this method. So whenever they click sign in, it called this function. So it hopped down to this function, and all this did is it said, all right, I'm going to print out whatever value you typed for your username, and also I'm going to print out whatever you typed in for the password. So that's the basics of how to make forms, and there are some other properties that you can add aside from, you know, just visible and not, but we're going to be going over some more of those as we need them. But for now, thank you guys for watching.